Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. Kevin Samuels interviews another modern woman looking for a high-value man. Let's jump right into
it. What is a social scientist? So you're a social scientist. What is a social scientist? She can't hear me. You're a social scientist. What is a social scientist?
It is one who is proficient in social matters, especially in the area of relationships.
Okay.
Studies behaviors, relationships, that kind of thing. Those mediums.
Okay. Now, you can't see me right now, right?
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this so you can see me on that screen, and I'm going to minimize myself over here. So your specialty is relationships and mediums like that. All right. So how did you find me? And tell everybody the background. So everybody.
Well, child. Well, one of my good friends, he watches your show, and initially I saw a clip of yours, and at first I was taken aback. I'm like, what in the entire hell is this? There was definitely, Kevin, like this shock factor, like what in the world? Because I mean, it was just so boom in your face. And initially I wasn't rocking with it. I'm like, oh no, I'm all about empowerment and oh Jesus. But it took for me to watch a couple of videos and to talk with other men, especially high value men. Mm-hmm. And I gotta tell you, you were right. And then when I met you, just hearing your heart in terms of, your passion, especially about, Black women and Black men, coexisting, I then knew, this is what you were called to do. So I'm like, okay, I can rock with this.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know on YouTube, Dr. T and I actually met 3 or 4 weeks ago. She was in town. You were in town for a meeting. And if you're on Instagram, you saw it. We met at Shops at Buckhead, and it was funny because the reservations I had made were to a steakhouse that was closed. But we ended up, when I talk about the value of being a regular, we ended up going to La Bella Bouquet, and we just had our meeting there. And I said, we're going to stop traffic going over there, because y'all know I was in my little Tom Ford jacket with the bow tie, and she was looking stunning, and everybody was like,
who are they?
Exactly. So, and we had a chance to actually talk for a couple of hours, and that was that's where that's where we first met and talked for the first time, and I was like, okay, I can see some synergies here. I can understand what you're doing with women, what I'm trying to do with men, and that's where this thing is going to have to get to, guys, because this over the internet thing is one thing, but when you meet people in person, you can really kind of gauge who they are. So tell me about the women, to let people know about who you are and the ladies you talk to.
Well, my following, it ranges from about early 20s all the way up to like 60s. Like, it's just like an influx of women who do follow me. My business is more so Christian based, but it is for all women. I'm about empowering all women, but majority of my following are Christian women from all walks of life, all socioeconomic, statuses. So it's something for everybody. Now, in terms of what it is that I do teach from a holistic approach. So I teach, mind, body, spirit, relationship, sexuality, like everything is something for everybody. Financial independence and literacy. So there's something for every woman. So for some women that do follow me, they're following me because they want to increase, their finances, or for some women, they want to know, like, how do I get the man? So
right.
it's something for every woman who follows me.
Okay. So I think that, and when you said you had your last conference in Florida, how many women showed up?
The last conference was in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about we had 500, a little over 500 women. Mm-hmm. So 2021, we're going to have it in Fort Lauderdale, mm-hmm. and we're anticipating 1,000 women. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I want to talk about tonight is, I've talked about this high value. I've become pretty much known as synonymous with this whole high value thing. And I think it's become a static conversation because either you are or you are not high value as a man or high value as a woman. What I wanted to talk about is how to increase your value if you want to, so you can get some of the things you want. And since you are about female empowerment, I thought that would be a good thing for us to talk about. From a man's standpoint, in particular, I mentioned that men across the board want cooperation from women. Cooperation from women. But when you talk about high value men, there is a visibility component. There is a network component. So a woman has to be more than just pretty. Pretty is great. Your thing is pretty girl world. Is that what it is? Okay. A woman being pretty is great, but she needs to also be effective. So what are some things that you would tell women they need to start focusing on to increase their value, assuming we already have the as pretty as possible thing covered?
Okay, so if the physical aesthetics are already covered, then I always say do the work internally, intrinsically,
Okay.
because you can have a nice package externally and be absolutely empty on the inside. You see that on Instagram every day.
Mhm.
Bad chicks, but then nothing else, to bring to the table. If you were to ask them read a paragraph on a fourth grade reading level, they can't do it. So I think that a woman should be able to bring something more to the table than hips, lips, and fingertips.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay. Okay.
But I always say do the work. And so in terms of doing the work, that means unpacking something trauma.
Mhm.
A lot of women will say, I want a good man or I want a high value man, but yet they are jacked up emotionally. So you got to work on your emotional intelligence.
Okay.
We live in a time and in a generation, and you've talked about this before on your show. So I kind of want to piggyback about this masculine energy. A lot of, especially women of color, we've been taught we don't need a man.
Mhm.
I know for me, I was reared, get an education, got all the way up to a PhD level, and was like, I'm good. I make well above six figures, even now. And so when you're pulling in 20K plus a month, if you don't have, someone, kind of telling you like, okay, chill out on the masculine energy, you'll think, well, I just got it all together. And then you look around and know how value men are after you because you're just as masculine as they are.
Mhm.
So I think working on, becoming more feminine, being okay with allowing a man to lead. That's okay. It doesn't even mean that you're less than as a woman. Okay. Just kind of taking a back seat when needed. A lot of women, they become so masculine in nature. And so I say also working through past traumas. If you've been in abusive relationships of any kind, whether it's verbal abuse or physical abuse, whatever, you got to do some unpacking because you don't want to take old baggage into something that is new. That's going to turn off a new man. You know what I mean?
So
also self-care internally. Like, are you taking care of your skin? Do you drink water? You'd be surprised at a lot of women that don't even do the basic necessities.
No, I wouldn't.
I mean, even as it pertains to taking care of your sacred area as a woman, your womb,
Mhm.
detoxing your womb. Like a lot of women these days, and I didn't even know it until I just started having conversations with different women, but they've taken on the masculine nature of, I'm just going to sleep around. I'm just going to do what men do. I'm going to knock this one up, that one up, this one up, that one up. That's masculine energy.
Mhm.
You were never created as a woman to be masculine. And see, what you don't understand is a man can sleep around, go ahead, wash his penis, and he's good. But as a woman, we're receptive to whatever is released at us. So if you're a woman and you banging Johnny on Monday, then you got David on Wednesday, you got another people on Saturday, you've now taken the DNA of all these different men, their idiosyncratic ways, those soul ties are created, and now you're trying to figure out why emotionally you're all over the place. You got a lot going on in your sacred area, your life.
Okay, Dr. T, here's what a lot of women would say. You just sound like a pick-me. You sound like, hold on, all I heard is you done gone out and got yourself a degree, a second degree, and a PhD. But now you are just trying to tell men what they want to hear so you can end up winning at the end. That's all. That's just a pick-me talk. You're trying to get women to go back to the 1910s with no rights, and you are a traitor to womankind because you are a doctor trying to tell her as a woman to not only not sleep around and be sexually free just like these men, you're trying to tell them to not be in their masculine or whatever. You're a traitor. That's what a lot of women who watch this, my critics will say. Go ahead. So what do you say to women who will say something along the lines of, you're either a traitor or that's easy for you to say because you have these options? Go ahead.
Well, just because I have those options doesn't mean I haven't been in that situation before. I feel like Lauryn Hill. Don't think I haven't been through the same predicament. I too at one point had the masculine energy. Oh, I don't need a man. I'm good and all of that. But I had to take a step back and become introspective and say, wait a minute now.
Right.
Let's do some revising. It's not like that I'm taking them back to the 1960s or anything like that. I'm giving them wisdom on what I had to learn so that they don't have to go through the same thing. So you can go through it with ease. Like, truthfully, if you're a woman and you got a bunch of masculine energy, you got this mentality like I'm just the ish. Okay, go ahead, sis. But see if a man is I'm talking about a real man, especially an alpha man. A man who is masculine does not want to lay next to a woman who is masculine. It doesn't matter if she is the baddest thing in the room, period. That is why he'll go get some woman who is of lower education and be with her if she respects him. A lot of women, even these days, they emasculate men, like calling them all kind of names and, want to take the leadership role. Okay, well, you're going to end up being either by yourself or with a low beta man.
Okay, so let's say they hear what you're saying and they're like, all right, Dr. T, you convince me. You convince me that if I do that, it's possible. But where does the average woman start? Let's say the average, because this has a lot to do in particular when we get women who have a certain kind of education or income. I think it all starts with therapy. And I heard you say something along the lines of self-healing, self-care. Where do they start? Where's a good starting point? To give them some 1, 2, 3 so they can say, all right, something I can sink my teeth into. Where's the first place a woman should start?
Well, I do understand that at this point, everybody does not have insurance. So therapy is not available to everyone. I do understand that. However, there are resources in every community in which you can, find someone who can, sit down and speak with you. That's in pretty much in every community, especially now that COVID is, taking place. There are, measures that they can take. I would suggest that every woman, I don't care who you are, get a therapist. I'm a therapist and I get therapy.
Well, I remember I had a therapist.
I'm a PhD.
That's a delay. I had a woman on my show a couple of weeks ago who was a therapist who had never had therapy. And she's actually has her own video at this point. So I don't know if we got covered that point, but did you tell people what your educational background is, what your PhD is in?
Yes, I did. I have a PhD in counseling psychology, a master's degree in psychology, Florida A&M University, bachelor's degree in psychology, Florida A&M University. My PhD is from Northwestern. So
she is an actual doctor. Actual Dr.
Yes.
Tarver, Dr. T. So I'm a big believer in therapy. Like you said, even if it's not for insurance is not available. I'm a big proponent of picking up a second job because I would tell women often that, look, especially if you're trying to get men on a certain level, you're going to have to do, you don't have the benefit that men have of time. Your clock is running, especially between 18 and 35 are those tight years. So I'm a big proponent of, if you really want something, you went into debt to go to college, go into debt to get a therapist, get a second credit card, another job, go sell one of them purses, do something. And then, okay, so what should a woman be looking for in a therapist? Big picture, not specifically, big picture. Because I've had women say, should I get a man? Should I get a woman? Does it matter their race? You got any suggestions on what somebody should be looking for in a therapist?
What I would suggest, if it's a woman who has ever dealt with rape or childhood trauma in which there was molestation, definitely get a woman if, the perpetrator was a male, because if not, she's not going to open up.
Okay.
Otherwise, you just find someone who look at the reviews
Mhm.
and you find someone who specializes in whatever area you need. Like, for example, if you dealt with deep trauma and maybe you have post-traumatic stress disorder or a severe anxiety or bipolar disorder, you got to find someone who specializes in that specific area.
All right. So,
For example, like I don't specialize with those who are schizophrenic.
right.
So I'll refer them to someone who specializes more in that area.
So I agree. Look at the reviews. Try to find someone that's going to be the best fit. But the most important thing is get started.
Yes.
You just got to get, my opinion is you got to get started because you have nothing to judge this on. And we got to stop this whole thing about perfection. So let's assume they've gone ahead and said, I hear you, Dr. T, I hear you, Godfather. Fine. I'm get a therapist. I got a therapist. I've been working with my therapist for, some time now. Well, here's another question they tend to ask. How long should I work with a therapist? And I think that's a hard question to answer.
And it's relative to the person, but I would say a minimum of 6 months to a year to see results. It takes time.
So 6 months to a year. And after you've done 6 months to a year, I'm a proponent of initial counseling and ongoing. But I also am I'm very much against therapy becoming the next crutch. You got to also, after that 6 months to a year, you're in a better headspace. Then what's next about increasing the value? Assuming that they're in shape and as pretty as possible, what would you say is the next thing? Because they're on a pretty good path now. She's feeling a little bit better. What next?
The moment that a woman starts vibrating on like what I like to call a higher frequency, she begins to attract what is on that same frequency, what is on that same wavelength. What a lot of women may not understand is that a lot of times when you attract like low vibrational men or emotionally unavailable men or narcissists is because there's a lot of hurt still there.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you can't necessarily see it in the physical, that hurt is sending out vibrations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that you start doing the work, part of that is affirming. I'm a firm proponent of affirmations. Like whatever it is that you speak out of your mouth, you create life or you create death. Those are seeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be the biggest believer of you. Start speaking. I am enough. I am great. Not only speak it, but believe that thing. The moment that you start speaking it, believing it, start owning that ish, I'm telling you, you're going to start connecting to and attracting those who are on the same wavelength, same frequency, same vibration as yourself. I was talking to one of my friends today, and it was so funny because there are certain men, they may be attracted to me, but they won't step to me because they understand that's above my grade. You can't go to the Bentley dealership knowing that you only have a budget to pay for, a Honda.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So, okay. So here's another question they start asking. They're starting to feel better. They're starting to vibe on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't come up in that feminine environment. Mm-hmm. Is this where a woman should start inserting a femininity coach or an influencer?
Absolutely, because now there's some unlearning that has to take place. There's some programming and deprogramming that has to take place. And I would suggest, yes, you hire, if you can afford it, a femininity coach.
We're going to assume you're going to afford. No, we're going to assume you're going to afford it because I'm being honest, Dr. T. The longer I've done this show, I don't look. You're either going to fix it or you're going to die alone. I mean, that's where I'm at with a lot of this. I speak to woman after woman who's slow rolling this, and I'm like, do you not understand it? 1 year becomes 3 years, becomes 5 years, becomes 10. And next thing you know, you're buying cats. So at the end of your life, you're going to have a bunch of stuff, but no body. So I'm a proponent of getting it fixed because you don't want to die alone. You know, we're about to get locked down again, right? Of course. We're going into a fall and winter with flu and corona on us.
We're looking for people 40 plus who want to actually master Claude in 28 days. No free time needed, just 10 minutes a day. Nexera gives you interactive bite-sized.
Wow.
I ain't trying to hear the Panda Boo, Panda Bay, people's locked in with nobody. No. So this is where, so you got the therapy, This is when the femininity influencers and that kind of stuff comes in. You get that, assuming you're working out and as pretty as possible. In my opinion, the next step is when you start actually networking and socializing, reintroducing the new you to the world, almost like what is it when a debutante?
Mm-hmm.
You're a mid 20s 30s new debutante introducing the new to you out to the marketplace. Would that be a good place after you get the femininity and introduce it out there? Would you say that's the next step?
Yeah, and I would also suggest if it's a person who hasn't dated in a while, hire a dating coach, preferably a man. Hire you a dating coach, work through it with them for some time. Take on, the information that they're giving you. But also, a lot of women don't understand is I know it's COVID going on right now, but when this thing kind of dissipates, get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like a man is not going to find you. You just sitting home.
Yeah.
you got to get out there. Like you just said, meet people, go different places. If you know that there's a networking event going on in your city, go out.
Well, that's where I started saying only a fool hides value. So basically, we're telling you, ladies, get your head together. You got to do the work because you take you everywhere you go. And after that 6 to 12 months, when that's going, understand something. You're talking to two driven, successful people. I'm not saying this plate doesn't stop spinning. You got to keep the therapy and the work plate spinning. You got to add another plate. That's the femininity plate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not going as to, twice a month with the therapist or every week. Maybe you're down to once a month or every 3 weeks or whatever. You guys spin the femininity plate because you have to unlearn things. Right. And that thing needs to keep spinning. But then you got to spin the most important plate, the social and networking. No one's going to knock on your door. You got to get out there. And you got to make new like-minded feminine friends. And if you don't have those, Dr. T, tell them about it. They're going to have to get out there and go by themselves, sit at the bar at Ruth Chris and put that dress on smelling like goodness and wait for the men to come talk to them while they're dealing with the dating coach stuff. All these plates, ladies. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. T.
No, I was just piggybacking off of you. Get out there, look good, smell good, walk up in there, own the room, and I promise you, people are going to start being attracted to you, but you got to get out there. You got to have the mentality like, I'm here. When you have a certain confidence, like Kevin, when we were out there, you saw how everybody was looking like,
right.
You have that confidence and people are going to start being drawn to you, but it's not going to happen if you just sit in the house. I don't care how hot you are.
So you got this new creature, this caterpillar has now become a butterfly, this new social butterfly, and she's attracting men, higher quality of men. Then she spent more of her life being with the things that don't work. And these things start creeping back in her head and she starts to want to regress. What do you put in place to stop the regression and undoing all this good work? I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'm respond after you.
Okay, so it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You got to have some form of accountability. Okay, you have a strong network, a couple people you trust. They should hold you accountable. Now you're not going back. And if you're still, here and there going to counseling, then you have someone kind of, directing you like, you just got to chill out, especially if you're starting to see results. Like, don't go back to what you just came out of if you're seeing things finally coming full circle for you.
See, what I call it is my gauntlet. I have men in my life who I respect enough to substitute their judgment for my own. Because my good friends, I never mention their names because they're not public people. And we're public people. I don't want that. Right. But let's say if I meet someone and I'm like, hey man, I met this person. I know this person well enough and they know me well enough to know, nah, man, that ain't gonna work or that don't sound right. Or even, and I'm like, because I trust them implicitly to where I immediately, if I get a no, I stop and take that wholeheartedly to say, well, if my chief or my warrior or the cleric said no, I gotta listen because I put them in those positions. I didn't put them in those positions just so I could dismiss them because I wanted to. So if I listen to them, then the next step is if I decide I want to proceed, that person may end up actually having to meet somebody in my gauntlet. And if they can pass the gauntlet, but if they can't pass the gauntlet, that's 2 no's. And let me tell you, Dr. T, I've had to let go people who I thought were a fit because they didn't pass the gauntlet. And God is my witness, they would have been horrible for me. So my gauntlet worked. So that's what this accountability comes in. So I'm glad to hear you say about have that group, that personal accountability.
Yeah.
And then after, let's say they're out and become this new creature. How do they take that into the world and actually influence or impact others, either other men or other women? Because, you know, they're winning now. I tell them, don't hide that under a bushel. Take your light out into the world. And, you know, but that's the Christian in me too. So what would you say? Because I don't think we change any of this stuff by just saying, I won and you won. Let's go and live on the mountain together and be all right where everybody else burns. But that's just my position. What do you think?
You know, I'm in agreement with that, but truthfully, everybody is not on that same wavelength.
Mhm.
You know, some people, if it's working for them, they may not tell anybody else. But for me, I think that if something works for me, I'm going to share it with as many people as possible so that everybody else can be winning.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think that when you see something in your life that is working, you should want to spread that, you know, so it's like a domino effect. So other people are evolving and winning just as well. But
So, and this is what I mean. I don't mean you walk up to them and start proselytizing and take out your Bible and your blessed oil and start converting people. I just mean you walk into the place like, if y'all could have saw how Dr. T and I hit shops at Bughead, we knew we was gonna hurt feelings. We knew it, and everybody was like, it was like a movie, and everybody was like, blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, we're here. And you don't have to go tell people like, who are they? Who are they? Looking for them. That's when you have an opportunity to share the knowledge. You don't go push it on them, but people are going to pay attention. So I know you got a trip to go do in the morning. I'm going to open this up for phone calls. I don't know if you have a time to take some phone calls or not. If you want to shut down the video and do some packing or whatever. I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm going to be on for about another hour. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with the people? Anything we missed? Anything we didn't cover?
I want to say this to the women that are tuned in on tonight. Know that, you know, every woman has value, but it's up to you to tap into that value. Also, if, you know, masculinity is something that you kind of struggle with because maybe you were never taught about tapping into your feminine energy, learn feminine energy is a being kind of energy. And honestly, if you use it and you use it the right way, I promise you'll connect to and attract the right person.
There you go.
So I am thankful for this opportunity tonight, Kevin. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about doing it for a minute, and I cannot wait to actually get some of them fainting couch moments in front of your groups. Because I mean, like, I know there's going to be a few people like, ooh, I don't know.
I'm so excited about bringing you on.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set us up to cut to the phone calls. I'm going to go ahead and mute this part out. If you want to take a break, go to the bathroom, hang out, you're more than welcome to stay. Cool?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So there you have it. That was Kevin Samuels. Speaking with Dr. T, they had some things to say about relationship and pointers that ladies can put into practice to better appeal to certain types of men. I thought it was useful information. And, I think these are 2 older people with some good knowledge, some good wisdom, and, a good background to speak intelligently about this particular topic. So I encourage you guys to, review what was said in that video and take inventory of whether or not you can apply some of that advice into your own life for dating purposes. I also ask that you like and subscribe, stay connected to the show if you're not already connected, but also to weigh in, share your thoughts. What did you think about what you heard tonight? Is it something that you think it can be applied in your personal life? And if so, leave a message in the comment bar. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Have a blessed day.